All right, let's gear up for our next panel discussion. The topic is data-driven decision-making, unlocking the power of analytics. Now, in today's data-rich world, making informed decisions can mean the difference between success and stagnation. And to discuss further, can I please call upon our panel today, Rahul Kulkarni, CEO and founder of GoalSeek Solutions Private Limited. Shabeen Narang, CEO of Trajectories Business Solutions Private Limited. Maureen Laus Gallant, President and CEO of Mauvais Veloz Consultancy. Dr. Gijis Van Geffen, CFO of Innocom and CSI Service. And lastly, our moderator, Abhinandan Mukherjee, co-founder of Badge Free LLP. Thank you.
Okay, I think day 3, almost, the pre-lunch session. Oh no, maybe, yeah. But thanks everyone for being here. And I think one of the most relevant topics, and I take lead from what I think Mr. Shahryar said in the earlier panel discussion, to leverage the world of AI, right? So let's see how there's some continuity from the earlier panel thoughts, that happened here on the stage. So quick round. So setting the stage, I think we'll go one round of introduction. So why don't I start with my far left and go in the order. So let's do one round of introduction so we know each other.
Thank you, Anindya. My name is Rahul Kulkarni. I come from India, Mumbai. I founded GoalSeek Solutions, and we are into consulting and technology, specifically working on sales, marketing, customer-facing functions. Apart from that, I'm also involved in a couple of more ventures. One of them is a social venture where we try to sustain artisans and art forms from traditional India. And another venture called Open Skies. Here we are actually a group of 3 who are avid outdoor enthusiasts, and we actually wanted to bring our enthusiasm and passion to business. We work with kids from 6, 7 years to around 16 years, helping them build leadership and life skills through outdoor and experiential learning mediums.
Hi, I'm Shabeen. Personally, I'm 57 years old, but I'm 25 forever. And I stay that way by continuously learning. Professionally, I've worked in several industries at different positions. So I've done all sorts of jobs that you could have done: headed service, headed sales, opened a business, shut down a business in a company. Expertise is more in financial services, telecom, and ITES. Currently, I run a firm, and I think the reason why I run that firm is because I want to make a measurable impact in my customers' lives by using technology and people solutions.
Hi, I'm Gijs van Geffen. I'm from the Netherlands, Eindhoven, the south of the Netherlands. I have a little of a top sport background as a football player, but after that I went into the financial business and accounting business, and now I'm the CFO of CSI Innocom. Our core business is the personal alarming business. That can be a necklace, can be a watch. And nearly everything, nearly always elderly people wear it. And when you push the button or when you fall down, immediately 3 relatives of people in your neighborhood will be notified that you're in need of help. That's more or less what I do now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maureen Gallant. I manage a consultancy company in the Philippines called Mauvais Veloz Consultancy, Inc. I came from the telecommunication industry about 15 years, and then from there I moved to banking and finance, and then now it's already been 7 years for my company. So I live and breathe data analytics, and I think it's part of my DNA.
Thanks. Quick round about myself. I'm Abhinandan. I come from the eastern part of India and spend large part of my time in the southern part of India, some in Asia. I started with being an HR professional for about the first 16 years. In the last 3 years, I'm in my journey of becoming an entrepreneur. Started with keeping in mind that there is definitely a skill gap in terms of the 0 to 5 years career framework, the career stage, and helping graduates and early professionals become more productive and more job ready in the true sense when they are out into the corporate environment. So started dabbling around employability, recruitment, people analytics, given from my earlier experience of handling HR technology transformation in organizations like Cognizant and World Bank. And today we have a wrapper around all of these solutions, and I co-founded my third startup just about 3 weeks back, where we are becoming an umbrella brand for all the talent solutions that could be available around finding skills, identifying skills, training through activity-driven simulated programs, and also, let's say, a little bit of trying to place them, position them in the job economy, and also trying to see how the modernized workplace will look like in terms of people analytics and people processes. So that's largely what I do. And so great to be here on stage. I think it's a great panel out here this morning. So let me start with a quick setting of the stage in terms of what happened, maybe in the last 30 years around data and information, the availability of information, right? So we all in this room, I think we have a multi-generation, people in this room, and what we see is it all started with data being scarce, information being scarce in the initial days of the internet, because I'm from that stage where in my early 20s, I would have seen Google coming up and then the information overflow happening, right? So there was a stage from scarcity to availability of data, and today we have overflowing information data at our fingertips. Then came the world of simple technology that helps us report what we see, right? So what we see in terms of the visualization in today's world started with simple, basic reporting. And all of us know it could go as simple as MIS reporting, right, in organizations or businesses. Then came, the era where we started visualizing, right? The MS-DOS went off, right? And it came all the Google and the graphics and all of that. So we started visualizations, and then we started noticing trends. So trends, how to do year on year, and some of those things. And largely, I'm sure it's the financial industry that led this, reporting, visualization, and rightfully so. And I think today we are in a stage where we definitely have much computing capabilities, and moving away from just trying to visualize quantitative data to qualitative data. So it was all the while that we were able to maybe make sense out of structured data. Today with AI, natural language processing, large language models, we are able to do a lot more than just analyzing structured data. Today we are actually able to do sentiment analyzer, right, and a lot of those. So, and then what's the way forward, right? So with that, I think let me open up the stage and come up with some questions that I think would be relevant for us to share. And we'll do a little bit of sharing, and then we'll open up the floor for all of you to ask questions and share your thoughts. So the first question that I had is, in the journey of doing robust analysis, and analysis is important or a prerequisite for analytics, right? And these two are distinctly different things. So what do we see as challenges, right, in doing a robust analysis to start with? And if I can request Rahul to start again, just because Rahul, you're on the far left, I take that up.
Thank you. I mean, being on the left, creates this. I come from a background where I meet a lot of customer-facing functions. We work in very traditional industries such as infrastructure, mining, automotive, called manufacturing. Many of the teams that I work with, they supply products or services to these industries. One of the challenge, I mean, we can talk about data, we can talk about analytics, we can talk about decision making, but one of the biggest challenges I see is, getting the right data at source. Teams which are customer facing tend to look at technology, tend to look at, some of these tools and methods in which we create this data with a bit of skepticism. Even in this age where we see, it is used in a very narrow sense to capture transactions, to capture, maybe at the most conversations which happen, but not beyond that. To have great analytics and to actually build analytics at decision making at all levels, be it tactical or be it strategic, it is important to have the right data at source. Your people on ground, whether they are sales teams, whether they are customer management teams, technology services, technical services teams, auditing teams which are there, all of them to buy into why that data is required and what can come out of analytics. And one of the first challenges we face normally is how do you get that data and how do you get people to buy in to give you the data first to analyze?
Kids, sure, since you are at the center of the stage, can I request you to maybe share your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. Well, of course, I agree with my fellow Paolo. The challenge I see is that it's oftenly mistaken, the quality of the data, as an IT party or something. But in my vision, I can give you a little bit of my vision about this, it's oftenly about leadership and vision of the management. I always believe there are 5 elements for putting data together that you need in mind. And the first one is your strategy. It affects your data when you don't have the right strategy or that you don't know the impact of the outcome of the data of your strategy. Then the scale, the level of scale of your people, it affects your data. When you're having people who are doing things the way they want, it of course affects your data, ruins your data, more or less. Then the culture of your company, the age of your people, the age of the employees, it affects your data because they're not agile most of the time, or they are very agile, and of course it's affecting your data as well. And then the last thing, and it, of course is an important problem, of an important aspect about gaining your data, is the technical elements. If you have multiple systems, multiple ERP systems, it's affecting your data as well, because it will be measured differently from each ERP system. And then it comes to the process, and that's also a challenge, of course. If you have the process, first you have the data, then you have the insights, and then you need to turn it to the values of your data, of course. And in my belief, those 5 elements must be aligned to be successful gaining your data. And that also comes from management, info management, or leadership, or a vision. If you want to maximize your profits, you don't need to measure sustainability aspects, for example, because it's you need to focus on your maximizers of your profit at that time, and you will be distracted by data you don't need, you don't want in the first place.
Yeah, wonderful. So I think what we are trying to do here is set the stage, saying where do we really start, right? And we heard that where we start, the quantity, quality, and what data we look at, how data is shared, how agile are we, and then look at the next set of things. So now let me turn to the data model masters on stage, right? So in terms of data modeling, right? What are let's say some of the success factors? Is something that's going on in my mind. So Maureen, can I since you are just left to me, and we'll come to Shabin, right? So over to you, Maureen.
Yeah, so I'll take it from G. What he said was the 5 key success factors in making sure that we have the right model, right? So so the plan is only as good as how we implement it. So it's important that we connect from the business objectives. So you start from the end in mind, right? So what's the business objective, or what is it that you wanted to address with this data analytics? And then you connect with how it's built. Because like what he said, leadership is important, right? So if it's built in a certain way and I'm gonna use it in a different way, then there's a big disconnect on how the analytics is done. And from there, you do get the actionable insights and make sure that you embed it with your company's strategies, plans and programs, and then build the culture within the company of a data-driven organization so that it is not a one-time process. It's a continuous updating, improvement, and as you implement plans and programs, you have to be agile enough to adjust and enhance whatever is initially built on your data architecture. I think that's how you can be aided to have an impactful decision making.
Shabin, you're the master in terms of implementing and including AI models. So your thoughts?
So though I love modeling and I love big data, my insights are all with respect to people. So my first insight is on communication. And I know it's been done to death. You must communicate. But I think there's 2 parts of communication: why we're doing something and what you need to do. What happens is we get trapped in our own style and we think, oh, I think I should only communicate what they need to do. These are very, random resources. They don't need to be told why. So we communicate the what. The why is never told. Then you have the big picture guys who will say, oh, you just have to tell people why, and logic will follow and they will follow it. So because leaders get trapped in their own communication styles, they tell only either of them. In fact, we launched where we wanted 14,000 people to use the data that was being sent to them to improve their productivity. Obviously, it was given in a manner that is presentable, like you said. But we explained to them why we are giving you this data and why it is being given to you in this form and manner and at this particular time, and what you need to do with it. We got a great success rate, not perfect, but great success rate of 60%. Which then brings me to the second point. Okay, you've implemented it, you got some success, not a big one. You go back and ask why the 40% are not using it. I mean, if your data is so great and their lives are going to become better, then there must be a reason why they're not using it. So we did feedback, which is the second part of good implementation. And feedback is both ways. Ask people, why are they not using it? Sometimes it's just inertia. Sometimes there's real logic. So some of them said, this formula that you're using here in giving me this computation isn't correct. You should change this. Or you should be looking at X data as well, because if you give me that, I can take better action. Viola, we went from 60% to 80%. Bottom line, if your user is going to use it, you need to ask them why they're not using it. And then you need to go back and change the model. And the last is, we need to be able to feedback into the model as well. What is working, what is not working, so that the model can get improved. And for that, I think we should collect data in a frictionless manner. 90% of the time, people will say, oh, I've implemented this model, now go do a survey to see if people are implementing it. That's not going to help. So what we found is that if you really think hard, you can find good surrogates to figure out whether the people are using it or not. So even in this one, for example, if we're telling people, go and visit these 15 dealers or distributors or customers, we know whether they visited them or not, right? In any case, in the mainframe systems. So why do I have to ask them that you're using this or not? So again, 3 things, all soft, nothing to do with hard modeling. 1, communicate what and how. 2, give the feedback, ask for the feedback. And 3, don't ask for the feedback if you can't. If you have the data somewhere else, use surrogates to figure out whether the model is being implemented or not. Make it, as I say, frictionless. So those are my 3 insights on implementing models.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think so, from my far left to here, I think we have Rahul on sales, Shabin, like she mentioned, she's an all-rounder and now the AI expert. Gids is on, the financial expert. Maureen, again, you all heard that she's done a lot of things, and now she's into marketing, and she's the CEO, right? Again, dabbling around with analytics. So these could be the functional, so we could be, let's say, the functional representatives and have used data or done data modeling, right? But my question is slightly broader. The next one is the industries, the sectors, as we could address them, right? So where do you think, we definitely know that, let's say, financial organizations led this data journey in some format or the other across the globe. But then where do you see some of these analytical models, getting rolled out? And if I can go back, and I hope you all are realizing that we are playing a diversity game here, right? It's the experts basis the foundation, so the men versus the women on stage, okay? We'll generalize it in a while. So Rahul, why don't I kind of put you on the spot here?
Yeah, thank you. We hear a lot about data, and we heard about a lot over the last 2 years, last 2 days as well. One of the slides which caught my eye yesterday was Industry 4.0, or what we call as smart factories. So manufacturing as a sector has been using data and taking decisions on data for quite some time now. To give you some examples, today machines are able to talk to us and tell us, where the issues are. Consider it similar to, we going to a laboratory to do our blood test, to check our pulse, or, the machines today, we are able to do things like vibration analysis, analysis on noise, analysis on temperature, and they will be able to tell us whether it is time for, some kind of predictive maintenance, or, how much hours they have been run, is it a time to do some kind of a setup change, and things like that. In the manufacturing segment, another use case is, asset securitization. Take the case of, say, a company in mining. Today they have got dumpers, tippers, excavators, crushers at all different sites, probably spread across the globe. How do you know where your assets are? How do you know how much productivity they are giving? What kind of usage is happening? Who are the operators working on each of those machines? The safety of these operators. So a lot of work is being done around in that area. Then there is automation. Say, for example, supply chain, where I would want to automate the entire process of ordering, sending it to an ERP, and delivering it at the same time, all automated, without people trying to do the manual work around it. It helps improve productivity, reduces errors, tries to bring in that kind of productivity and efficiency in the system. So manufacturing is one of the industries where I feel is at the edge, which is taking the whole data and data analytics to the next level.
It's over to you, following the same pattern we did last question. So we want to hear from you around your experiences.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to share 2 stories about my other enthusiasm than finance, and that's from sport. Like I told you, I have a little bit of a top sport background as a football player, and after that I was infected with the data virus by Jürgen Klopp, actually. I went to Borussia Dortmund at that time, and he showed me how he saw his game. And I am more or less indoctrinated by Johan Cruyff, because that's the only one we know in the Netherlands that he knows about football playing. But at that time, Jürgen Klopp showed me that he had a plan, he needed a team for that, and that for example, his left defender should be aggressive, should have a stamina, but he doesn't, for example, should be training headers, because he never does that. And in my Dutch believing, everybody should do all. But he showed me for the first time that actually you're losing time by training things that they never use. And that was quite an eye-opener for me also in my business case. And at that time, I wanted to know more and more and more about data, also about decision making. And then I went to Denmark to visit Rasmus Ankersen. He was I believe he was a chairman of Midtjylland, as a small Danish club. And he showed me about his decision making about buying players. And I was at that time Michiel Kramer, never made it, but still he was at that time a very common Dutch name, played for The Hague at that time. And he was scoring goals all the time. And he showed me how he judged to buy this player. And he showed me that he was needed like 1.4 chance to make a goal, while the average is 4. Well, you need 4 chances to make a goal, even if it's Messi or it's you, one of you. Apparently you need 4 chances to make a goal from his data. And then I was thinking, yeah, then you should take him, because he is only needed like 1.5 chance to make this goal. And then he showed me, no, he's now too expensive, because he will never keep up these statistics. Yeah, and that was another eye opener also in my business. There's nearly AI, but then from a perspective from a football coach, a football board.
Wonderful. I think sports is one of the examples we all can relate very easily. And I get reminded, it's about a movie called Moneyball, right? A huge amount of data-driven decision making and building the team, and then winning a tournament. Let me now go back to the experts on the stage with my next question. So we heard about the applications and the industries, right? But can we have some examples? Let's say, Shaveen, if you're okay to start this time, right, around the application of analytics models.
So I'll share a story of reducing attrition. It's a big problem in many industries, especially in Asia. People say that, oh, the front line will leave for, 50 dirhams, 100 rupees, they quit. The truth of the matter is that you can reduce it, and people have struggled to do it in soft ways, meaning without hard data. So what we did was we trained an artificial intelligence algorithm to just use your voice. Just your voice, not what you say. Just how you say it, and linked it with HR. So you can see that there's technology which splits voice into over 300 parameters, which links it to HR, any HR competency framework you can use. So you link it, let's say, to 16 PF or the Big 5 or anything. And then from there, you can leapfrog into saying, this person will stay. That's it. So you need to make it interdisciplinary. The most functional models today are the ones which are interdisciplinary. So you use technology to split the voice. It's a very old technology, has been used in lie detection for years. But now it's been brought into HR, mapped into 16 PF, to predict whether this person will quit or not. Now you get base model then. So you run it on hundreds and thousands of people, and you figure out, oh, this is the sort of profile for financial services. They will stay in financial services. Oh, this is the sort of profile that will stay in retail, etc., etc. So you've got some base modeling. Then when you want to implement it into each, why are no 2 financial services companies the same? One person joins and stays for years in one, and then similar person goes to another one and quits in 5 days. Has to do with company culture. So then you have to refit the model to the company culture. It's a little bit like you have ready-made clothes. When you wear them, it's a little tight here and it's a little loose there. You kind of have to refit it to yourself. So you refit the model. We brought attrition down by 35% by just following this process. And then we said, okay, so if you can do it in hiring, you can do it in promoting. So who's the right promotion fit? Is this person a right management fit? Again, same. You can use any kind of psychographic model, any kind of data that you're collecting about them, fit it into a relevant model, and we managed to find that people who were of a particular type were better to promote, and people of another type were better to rotate horizontally to give them growth. So bottom line, I'm saying that, if you really want to have applicable AI models or applicable data models, it needs to become interdisciplinary. Otherwise, you'll get some results, but maybe not the most sustainable results.
Maureen, can we hear your experiences?
Okay. I'll give an example on normally in businesses, right? One of the ways for us to scale is we'll have multiple products to offer. So when we do projections, we do market sizing, and then we say, oh, we have 6 million base. This is an actual case that we handled. So they have like 6 million base, and they expanded their product portfolio to another related product to that industry. And then the marketing people or the product people aggressively forecasted, hey, it's low hanging. We have 6 million. And then the market is, Philippines is 120 million. And if they're able to just target X% of that, this is the revenue. And so in short, the strategy was to cross-sell. That's the low hanging. And then the other one is to increase the overall market share of the company by tapping into the non-customer base yet. So they figured easy, 6 million. So they have been doing a campaign, and it wasn't making any sense. But when we deep dive and look into the customer behavior, we realize that the product is actually, it doesn't make sense. So when you are a customer of a product A, you can't be a customer of product B. So there are products that cannot coexist. Otherwise, it cannibalizes the other. So when you have your current product portfolio, you have to understand as part of your analytics to see if it's a good bundle to even cross-sell. Otherwise, it just kills the other. So in this case, one is, for example, pawning, and the other one is sending money. Or savings, right? So one is pawning, meaning I have need for money. The other one is savings. I am not even there yet. I'm bridging the gap between getting a loan so I can finance my personal need, and the other one is savings. So it's so hard to bundle those two, but you can only see that if you look at your data on a lens that makes sense outside just the regular number, but also the consumer behavior.
Great. And I think what we'll do is I can see on the timer here that we are about 9 minutes, 29 seconds left for the session. So I think one last question before we open up to the floor is, where do you see the future of this? Because what we are discussing about is what we've done, right? But I think the way forward could be drastically different from what we've seen all this while. So we'll break the diversity bonding that we had done for the last 20 minutes plus, and so maybe we'll go right again, start from Rahul and come around. Yeah.
Okay. What I am excited to see is how humans and technology will collaborate in future. What kind of decisions are best taken by machines or by technology, by your models, and what are the decisions which will be really important and critical for humans to intervene and take. I think that distinction will come over a period of time, and how we collaborate, how we co-create, and how we move into the future is going to be determined by that.
I'm a raving fan of Klaus Schwab, the person who's the World Economic Forum has hosted it for a long time. And he says in Industry 4.0, the world lies at the intersection of disciplines. So I see that AI ML will increasingly be looking at data across disciplines to see the next best offering.
Yes, I see it more or less the same. I see AI as the future, especially for predictive AI, to predict where you're going to be instead of reacting from something happening.
Maureen.
Yeah, I think it's because of the technology, the efficient way of integrating data in various industries, and how you can utilize that as your basis for product offering and even cross-functional selling.
Wonderful. So I think we heard how the granular level interactions would happen between maybe a humanoid bot and a bot, or humans and bot, right? we heard interdisciplinary, sharing, best practices across functions, and across industries is what we hear. With that, I think, I've been always, looking at it from a skill and people perspective. So nothing much to add from my end. I think we've pretty much covered what we thought we should cover, but opening the floor to questions.
Morning, panel.
Hi.
I think we can all agree that data, power of analytics is going to be here to stay, and it has lots of benefits and obviously uses in different aspects of what we do as business. What I'm interested to hear from the panel is, what is your view with regards to leaders who are already so overwhelmed by a plethora of different issues? How can they most efficiently and effectively use analytics, whichever data models that are being churned for them, but how can they use that in a most efficient and effective way to be able to aid them in the decisions that they need to make for the organization that they lead? Thoughts on that?
I'll answer it. I'll go first. Very short answer. I love to learn from other people, and I had a great boss at one point of time, and he would ask everybody, tell me in one line what you want me to do with this. Tell me with one line how this is going to make my life better. And I think just the fact that he tuned us over the years to say, tell me in one line. I've now learned how to say things in one line. And I think that's a great page out of his book, that if leaders can ask verbose people, data analytics people, because data analytics people will come with 45 slides and each slide with some 300 alphabets and characters on it. One line. Tell me in one line what do you want me to do and why. I think that is a great technique that leaders can use to figure out how to use data.
Sure. Rahul or Gitz? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that I communicate in my mind. There are, of course, there are a million ways to roam, but in my mind, a communication plan is essential for anything you do, but also for implementing the data and your analysis of that. So if you can convince your co-workers that this is the way which gonna help you, yeah, and always ask yourself, what's in it for me from a lower perspective than yourself as a leader. I think that will gain trust and will help you cooperative with your personnel.
One more aspect that I would like to add is, how do you make the data presentable and available for different people at various levels in their hierarchy to take decisions? Not everybody needs access to every data. Probably you'll put more burden on them if you're just throwing analytics and data onto them. So which part of the organization, which based on their roles, based on what they need to do, how do you then make it available in the right form so that they can take decision? Because the operating word here is taking decisions and not to play around with data.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Go ahead. Yeah.
So, listening to you all for the past 3 days, I was left wondering with a question which has been driving me over the years. So we all talk about disruptive technologies, AI or generative AI being one of them, and that is what we have been discussing in detail over these 3 years. As an entrepreneur, I look forward to moving ahead of the curve in order to create something which will attain sustainability, or which will give me an impetus over my competitors. So when we are talking of generative AI, it's already in the market with people already acquiring necessary GPU from NVIDIA, and the market is already in a red ocean state right now, right? So I wanted to understand from you, because you guys are the leaders in your field, and how do you envision quantum computing with AI as a technology in the near future? Because AI too, even say 5 years back, seemed like a reality, not a reality, right? We were still thinking it's too futuristic. Today, it's the same with quantum computing. So I wanted to understand from you, like, if adding AI today to business models to a website that I was creating added AI to it, and it's getting funding. So it's as simple as that. So do I add QU or qubits.ai in the near future, and that becomes a game changer. So I would like to hear on that regard from all of you. Thanks again.
Great. I think personally, I feel AI is a buzzword that a lot of us are still trying to figure out what to do with, right, in our own ways. But let me open it up to the panel and see, what their thoughts are in their own areas. So either Shabin gets, Maureen, you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so first, I want to tell you I know nothing about quantum computing. And I have no gumption about saying I don't know enough about it to be able to make that comment. But as I listened to you, I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you saying, how can I stay ahead of the game and how can I use quantum computing and generative AI? That's the question?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then don't put the cart before the horse. First, think what you want to do. Then go look for it. For all you know, you might need blockchain, might not need quantum computing. There are so many technologies available out there. Liquid AI, cloud AI, some 18 different versions. The world is experimenting like crazy on AI. If you're going to go and run behind all of them now, you're going to go crazy. But thank you for telling me about, I know I've heard the word quantum computing. I'm going to go and read up about it. So thanks for adding to my list of reading. But I would again say, first figure out what you want to do. There will be technology to make it happen. So don't let technology drive your business plan. Figure out what you want to make and then work backward from it.
I was talking this from a discussion point of view and not something that I would apply.
Okay. Sorry.
This is just an understanding, like whether you, because you guys are the experts in AI, so I wanted to understand if you are thinking along those lines, wherein there is a marriage between quantum computing and AI, and the reality. Basically, what happens is when you marry quantum computing with AI, so AI gets powered or boosted by immense amount of computing power. So as it is, so it helps in say suppose training the models in AI, it takes time. So it reduces, say, what would take 3 months or 6 months to do, it would be done within a span of 3 days maybe. So what does that add? So I was trying to understand that from your perspective.
Yeah, let me add to what you are saying. You are perfectly right. Today, the quantum of data that we are generating and the quantum of analytics that's happening, you cannot continue to scale up till you have quantum computing and our ability to process the data and work on that data at a much larger and a much quicker level. So it's not that one will thrive without the other. I mean, one will require the other to be there. So quantum computing, of course, is more towards the technology side. What we are talking is more from the application side. How do you use the AI, et cetera. But yes, that would be the backbone on which you will be able to derive, model some of these data much quicker and come to your decisions much faster.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think, okay.
Going back to data collection, how do we assure our target market, our target audience, for examples, about data Hello? Yeah. Is it better? Okay, going back to data collection, how do we assure our target market, our target audience about data privacy, how we properly use the information we gather from them? That was interesting what Shabin shared about doing voice analytics. I wonder how that data is being collected. Do we get their opt-in for their voice to be recorded? And yeah, just to share, I recently had a smart switch installed in my house, but I didn't end up activating it through my phone because the app was asking me for so much information. So how do we address that apprehension?
Okay, so before we respond, can we also take the other questions? So we're showing up on time. So any other questions we could kind of consolidate and respond.
So I'll answer you in one line. Yes, we are ethical. Yes, we are compliant. But is everybody ethical and compliant? I don't think so.
Yeah, and trust me, I'm as skeptical and as scared as you are.
Right. Great. So I think we've had a great audience. Thanks everyone for the questions and for participating. And I think if I can maybe ask the panelists on stage to just share maybe a 10-second bite, each one of you, right? So what's your one mantra that we take back, looking into the future of what the topic for today is? Yeah, Maureen.
Okay, just to have an impactful data-driven decision, just remember the 4 A's: architecture, the data architecture, actionable insights, agility, and also accuracy of data.
No, it's...
Yeah, I think, so sorry, but I didn't hear your question.
No, any last thoughts that you have on closing note?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the thing I wanted to tell was the 5 elements, and if you have those in mind whenever you make a decision, I think you'll be quite far in your decision making.
Awesome, Shabin.
Whoever you are, company, individual, CEO, frontline, middle management, learn avidly. Read, listen, figure out what's happening in the world. That's the paranoid will survive.
We might not have all the answers or the perfect answers. The idea is to experiment, to learn, to fall, to get up and learn again. Yeah, that's what we do.
Great. So the first two said there's a structure, so have the structure, but then still have some method to the madness, right? So with that, I think we close this panel. And by the way, 5 of us have decided to come up with a consulting firm, okay? I mean, in our own ways. So any of you, interested in our own ways, now you know who to reach out for sales, for AI models, finance, marketing, and people systems. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the praise.